Hi, I'm Chuck Colson with this week's 2-Minute Warning. You've heard me talk often over the years about Max, my autistic grandson, who's been raised heroically by a single mom, my daughter Emily. 2 years ago, my editor at Zondervan asked Emily and me to write a book about Max. It turned out that I wrote the very personal prologue entitled Confessions of a Dad, as well as the epilogue, and Emily beautifully wrote the inspiring story. The book is called Dancing with Max, and I can't recommend it more highly. Not just because my daughter wrote it, and of course I'm proud of her, but because it's a wonderful story, wonderfully told, of a young woman overcoming every adversity imaginable. I don't say this glibly, but it's true. As a single mom raising an autistic child, Emily has discovered the greatest blessings in life. But there's a bigger story here. As Dr. Christopher Hook of the Mayo Clinic warns, eugenics is back in America. You see, with advances in prenatal and genetic screening, we can now determine which babies in the womb will be so-called normal and healthy, and which will be born with lesser or greater handicaps. That's why fewer and fewer babies with Down syndrome are being born. They're simply being terminated before they see the light of day. And even beyond life in the womb, with shrinking medical resources and budgets and increasing demands on healthcare systems, somebody's going to start making decisions about who among us lives and who among us dies. This is bad news for the handicapped, who throughout history have been the most vulnerable people in society. You may not know this, but the modern eugenics movement began here in the United States, and among its proponents were people like Oliver Wendell Holmes, the famous jurist, and Margaret Sanger. Among its foreign disciples was one Adolf Hitler, who in 1933, even before he turned his wrath on the Jews, targeted the mentally and physically handicapped for extermination. The fact is, however, that when we compromise any human life, the unborn, the terminally ill, the aged, and yes, the handicapped, we deny ourselves great, great blessings. This is why the story of Max is so important. It puts a human face on one of the greatest threats to human life we've ever faced. I can tell you this personally, honestly, I can't imagine the Colson family without Max. Emily details this so wonderfully in the book. He's drawn her closer to God. I've watched my daughter mature as a Christian as she literally lays her life down for him every day. And I can say this former Nixon hatchet man has learned more about love from Max than from anyone else. Yeah, it's been tough for Emily to raise Max. Not been easy. But in Max, Emily has experienced firsthand, in ways she never could have imagined, the overwhelming grace and love of God. And by the way, I've been told that she writes better than I do. How's that for humbling an old man? So please, get a copy of Dancing with Max at the Colson Center bookstore and colsoncenter.org. Share it with friends and family. I really believe you'll have a blessing reading it. Publishers Weekly gave it a starred, glowing review. Thanks to Emily's generosity, the royalties for every copy sold at the Colson Center bookstore will go directly to the Ministry of Colson Center. Now, Amazon is selling the book briskly. Don't give them the profits. Buy it here at the Colson Center bookstore and help the Colson Center. And thanks, Emily, and thank you all. I'm Chuck Colson. That's this week's 2-Minute Warning.